So some of you may notice I have a whole team of high schoolers working with us. High schoolers are actually a very important part of our ecosystem because, I'm like 100 years old. The kids, when they look at me, they cannot relate to me. Okay, but Alondra's story is very important for us to share because it is the story of all of our kids. Okay, so that's it. I'm just gonna have to share that.
All right, nice to meet you all. So I'm Alondra, and okay, so I'll tell you guys all about my story and my background, right? Actually, I was born in Newark. I'm not raised in Newark though. I'm an Elizabeth citizen, which is just about a 20-minute ride from here. And so I was born prematurely at the Beth Israel Hospital. And my parents are Salvadoran immigrants. My mom had barely been in the U.S. for about a year at the time that I was born. So they had been like experiencing a lot of new things, a lot of change at that time. They just like ended up working in factories for years on end instead of seeking other jobs that could better benefit our family. And so because we were in that box, we were also in that box literally because we ended up living in like a single room for years on end. So we lived in a single room with just about a bed filling up the entire space of the room. We were always like tenants in different places, and so at first it was just me and my parents. They were like 25, 22 years old, and me. And then about a year after that, it was also my baby sister. So at this point, it's two babies, about a year apart, two barely adults, I guess, because when you're 25, you're not really that old at all. But it was at that time that my parents had to make a tough call, and they decided that it would be best for my sister and I to be sent back to their home country, El Salvador, for an extended period of time until they felt that they were economically stable to bring us back to the U.S. So then that's when we decided to come back all the way over here, back to the East Coast, back to New Jersey, and back to Elizabeth, because my father had heard that his uncle had bought a house. So his uncle was like, and it was a brand new house at the time. It was one of those two family homes, So we were like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. We're gonna get a whole apartment to ourselves. This is the first time where we're gonna be in any space where we can have our own kitchen, we can have rooms. I don't have to just sleep with my parents all the time. And it was just difficult all around to have guests over and anything like that because we were in a basement and it was kind of really, it was actually really run down. But we were trying to make it work. And then on top of that, my uncle was like, you know what, guys, I think you guys are too much of a nuisance. I think I want you guys to move out, right? And our lease wasn't even up yet. So he was like, I want you guys to move out. I can't stand you guys. And we were like, oh my gosh, but anyways. So we were in this difficult position where we've been moving our entire lives. We literally have been moving from place to place to place, never staying anywhere too long. And we were just settling down, I guess, even in the basement, even if it was for a little bit. It had already been 2, 3, 4 years, I guess, that we were living there. And now we were being made to move out. So I look at myself compared to the other students, and all these other students, they're all my friends are like, oh, I'm going to dance class after this. I'm going to karate, or I'm going to learn an instrument, or my mom is asking me what instrument, or what should I choose? What should I do after school? And all I was doing was, walking myself home, or my mom would walk home with me, and I would go and do homework. That was all about. That was all I could do. And so I really started feeling that distance between me and the other students, but at the same time, I didn't want to let them know I was that much different from them. So I tried to overcompensate that by doing really well in school. I really put all my efforts into school in order to sort of feel accomplished in some ways, since I know that I couldn't feel accomplished in extracurriculars and whatnot. So then it was there that at the same time though, that even if I was doing as well as school, my family situation really was following me behind, where there would be instances where my parents could not make it to the ceremonies of my accomplishments and whatnot. And because I understood the tough position we were in, it wasn't like I could complain or I could be upset really, because I had to be understanding of their situation, and it would only worry them further. We actually ended up being forced to move out on a Wednesday night, a school night. And it was pouring rain. It was a thunderstorm, and we had to move all our things out. It was so hard, but it was a learning experience, I guess. As we were moving our things over, and then I'm a procrastinator, so I also had a project due the next morning on Thursday, and I was like, oh no, how am I going to get this project done? I have to get it done, I have to have my teachers still like me. So I had, because we had spent so much money on boxes, I ended up making my poster on the side of a cardboard from the cardboard boxes, and I had to hand that in. And we were in that situation just like we had been, for the first couple of years where it was my mom, my sister, my brother, and I. We all slept in the same bed that night, and it kind of like brought me back to that time, just like we had been years before. But then that next morning, my mom had our uniforms pressed out, and she put the uniform on and she slicked my hair, and no one at school ever found out. So it was like a really emotional experience for me. And then after that, things started to get better. We had our own home. We still had so many expenses. At that time, we actually were still stealing internet from neighbors who, when we went to visit, they'd be like, oh, here's the internet password. Like, oh my God, perfect. So then I'd get close to their houses from my house, and I'd be like, okay, let me do my homework this way, from my mom's phone and whatsoever, because we also had no electronics, because they were expensive. So during the summertime, that summer, we spent time just watching television, being bored, and my mom would not let us enter any summer program because she didn't know if there was anyone she could trust. I wasn't in the after-school program during the school year because when I was, we ended up getting robbed at knife point with my mom. So it was all these things. So now we're bored, just staring at the TV. The days are going by. We're kind of repeating meals because we just bought a house, I guess. Slowly things start to change, things start to get better, we don't just have to do laundry once every 2 weeks. We can do laundry once a week. And then little by little, my life has really been improving to the point where I am now here. And I can really, I met Mrs. Kurska. I went to UCVT, I'm in UCVTS now, it's in Scotch Plains, and it's really a hike up from my house. And so now I really wanted to join because I saw myself identify with these children. We don't all have the same exact experiences, but whether it be a cultural background or specific instances that they can relate to me, it really helped to, there wasn't really any bridge gap, whatever, between us. And so thank you for hearing my story, and I'm so glad you guys are all here today, and I hope you all continue to support your kids.